This is my case book published by Carolina Academic Press on the California legislature and its legislative process. It's just over 740 pages in length, and it goes in depth regarding the legislature as an institution as well as the process. I worked with a colleague to develop what's probably the first online course on legislatures and lawmaking for MSL students at McGeorge School of Law in Sacramento. We looked at both federal and state legislative branches and their processes, and it prompted me to more thoroughly research this field and help better understand the institution and the process. And so I undertook this examination, which developed into a casebook of the California legislature and its legislative process. It's the first casebook of its kind where we explore in depth the powers and authority of the legislature as an institution, as well as the state legislative process. I review the relevant provisions of the California State Constitution and numerous statutory provisions found in the California Government Code, and of course, quite a few appellate court decisions that interpret and help explain some of these constitutional and statutory provisions. I've also included explanatory materials for many of the areas covered, as well as some limited commentary reflecting some of the current legal issues. In a number of these explanations and court decisions, I follow with either notes or questions to prompt further insight and thought and perhaps discussion in the classroom about this background material and relevant cases. Again, the intent here is to thoroughly understand the legislature as an institution and the legislative process it utilizes to adopt statutes. The first half of the casebook deals with the legislature. The second half deals with the legislative process. Again, I've included numerous appellate court decisions throughout the casebook. And a lot of these cases I chose because I think they help explain some of the relevant areas of the law. I think they're well written with good analysis, and so they'll help, students in better understanding how the appellate courts reach their particular decisions. So chapter 1 is on the California legislature. Chapter 2 concerns the power and authority of the legislature. Chapter 3 discusses the separation of powers doctrine in California. Chapter 4 concerns the organization of the legislature. Chapter 5 discusses qualifications and elections to office. Chapter 6 deals with ethics of legislators and their staff. Chapter 7 concerns the California legislative process. Chapter 8 discusses legislation generally. Chapter 9 discusses bills, resolutions, and constitutional amendments. Chapter 10 discusses a number of different special rules for legislation and the process. Chapter 11 discusses the state budget and fiscal legislation. Chapter 12 concerns some limited statutory interpretation provisions. And then finally, Chapter 13 is sort of my compare and contrast with other legislatures as well as the federal government. So that's what's embodied in this particular casebook.